Welcome, everybody. It is Wednesday. You know what time it is. It's time for The Expendable Show. I'm your host, The Expendable. If you like my show, like, subscribe, and ding the bell. And this episode is brought to you by Gatsby Trading Solutions. I'm like half like in a different time zone right now in my mind because I got stuck down in a rabbit hole of watching like old 90s WWF promo videos. Like there's nothing better like to get your blood flowing than watching a video that has the Macho Man and the Ultimate Warrior in it at the same time. And then you can throw like every other video can be like Ric Flair saying anything. I should have worn my Ric Flair shirt that my brother got me for Christmas. It's like the greatest Christmas present I've ever received. But anyway, that's how our show's going to start today. So let's get into our statistics. We'll do the boring stuff. So gas went back up. We're at 320. The mortgage rates did take a nice little fall. I don't think President Trump's happy yet. He hasn't made a comment because he's been getting paraded around England all day. But the mortgage rates are at 6.22. So, I mean, they're starting to head in the right direction. It's just not where I think it should be. We should still be in the fives right now, but we're not quite there. Trump's approval rating, it's like 2 weeks in a row his approval rating keeps going up. So he's at 46.2 right now. So I'm kind of happy about that. I believe the Charlie Kirk stuff helped him out. Democrat approval rating is at 33.5%. So it is a proven fact that Donald Trump is more favorable than the Democrats statistically. By margins of like we've never seen before. So today we are going to talk about the school shootings. Okay. I was going to talk about this on Sunday, but I ran out of time because the Charlie Kirk stuff went way too long. So as everybody knows, we just recently, I think it was within a day, the day of or the day before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, we had a shooting. And it was a bad one. I saw some of the pictures. Like, I don't want to see stuff like that in a school, man. Like, does anybody really want to see school shootings? I don't think anybody in this country could logically and in the right mental state of mind say that a school shooting is good. This is just a bad thing that happens, and it's unfortunate. And I do think that a lot of them are preventable. I would like to see these worthless people in Congress actually do something. Obviously, taking guns away is not going to be an option. That's going to be something that you're never going to get out of the American people's hands. I don't want them to take the guns. I think that as screwy as our government is, we should have guns. However, I do believe that we can do more. I believe that schools should have metal detectors. I believe they should have a school resource officer. I think that they should close the schools down to only one point of entry. I think strategically there are things that they can do to eliminate this problem and make it better, make it harder, lock down the schools. I know a lot of schools in the country are already doing some of these things. But I know like in Gwinnett County, we've had quite a few in the last couple years, and guns making it into the school. Like these things shouldn't happen. If we have metal detectors set up, guns shouldn't make it into the school. You can't just go out and find, a polymer firearm, a ghost gun that you can sneak into school. Those aren't easily attainable. You have to know somebody who knows somebody that can make them. So to get a regular firearm in, it's going to have metal pieces in it. It is what it is. And they're still making it in the schools. So that tells me that we're still not doing enough to prevent these things from happening. Now, when we shift from like isolated people that just have a gun because they're afraid of gang violence or whatever, we shift away from that because I think that those are a high percentage of them are preventable just by increasing the security of the school. Teachers should have to be required to carry a gun to school. No, because I think some of our teachers are wacko enough that they don't need a gun. However, we shift over to mass shooters. Most mass shooters that we know in recent times have been in their mid to early 20s. They're on the left-leaning side of things. Some of them are on the right-leaning side of things, but they all have similar things in common. And we're going to go through that and kind of dissect what I think some of the issues are, and we'll match it up with some of the forensic evidence that's available that I have found. So we're going to start off looking at the presidents. So for the 8 years Ronald Reagan was president, we had 45 school shootings. Okay, so we're looking at, just 5, 6 a year. That's too much, but it's not that bad. In the 4 years that George Herbert Walker Bush was president, there were 20. So that's not bad. That's 5 a year. Bill Clinton. So here's where we start to pick up the pace here. So Bill Clinton had 60 in his 8 years. So he had 15 more than Ronald Reagan. George W. Bush had 85. So we're seeing this increase. Barack Obama had 160 during his presidency. In Donald Trump's first term, there were 180. Joe Biden in 4 years had 220. So we can't really blame the specific president because we're seeing this incline in statistics. As of right now, we have 83 in Trump's current term. So we're already on pace for more. And I don't think that we're looking at the data. I don't think our lawmakers are looking at this stuff at all. And it kind of pisses me off because they don't have a problem getting in front of TV cameras and talking about it all day and pointing fingers at each other. But when we look at the data, to me, it jumps out. I know where the problem was inserted. So we're going to look into what we've talked about on this show before, but I'm going to highlight it and line it up with the deaths. So social emotional learning, it began gaining serious traction in the United States in the late 1990s. The late 1990s. When did our statistics start going up? Late 1990s. So, I mean, there's your starting point, and there's the common denominator. So, but its widespread adoption accelerated significantly after 2027. Well, what else accelerated significantly? School shootings did, especially in the K-12 public schools. Now, in 1994, CASEL was founded. So CASEL is the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. It was established laying the groundwork for social emotional learning frameworks and research. So this is the brainchild of social emotional learning. It was created by CASEL. So, well, I don't think it was created by CASEL, actually. It was just re-implemented and revamped. So in the 2000s, so this is like the early integration part. So social emotional learning began appearing in a district level initiatives, especially in urban schools focused on behavioral and academic outcomes. How did that work out for you, urban schools? It didn't work. You had, over time, we've had more increased violence in the schools. Okay, so let's keep doing social emotional learning since it's so damn successful. Federal programs like safe and drug-free schools included social emotional learning components. 2027 to 2024, when school shootings started to hit stupid record highs, there was a rapid expansion. Social emotional learning implementation surged nationwide, with clearly all U.S. states adopting supportive policies or standards. By the 2023-2024 school year, 83% of school principals reported using a formal social emotional learning curriculum. That's up from 76% from 2021 to 2022. States began embedding social emotional learning into strategic education plans, funding professional development and aligning social emotional learning with school climate goals. Do you see these key words popping up in here? Where did social emotional learning come from? It came from the left. This is a leftist socialist system that was implemented by Castle, which was copycatted from the same system that they use in Europe to create this global one world order bullshit. So there we are. That's where we're at with that. Now, where does it go from there? So you have we have gotten away from accountability in the schools and have catered to these children's emotions because they're all emotionally just battered by the world. And we have to be there to coddle them and bring them in. And that's not going to work, people. Because here's what happens with social emotional learning. We coddle and don't allow accountability to happen. So what happens when they hit this graduation rate? They go to college and there's more coddling and more independent thought about radicalization, and they just absorb all this craziness, and you can do anything you want. You can say anything you want. You can, which is your God-given right under the Constitution. However, when you're retaining negative information all the time, you're going to create a negative environment. Now, so then what happens when they graduate college? They get put out into the real world where there's real world problems. Exactly, Rachel. That's where I'm getting to. Rachel says they should teach facts, not feelings. And that's where we're going to get to, because we've weakened the willpower. We've weakened the fortitude of humanity through social emotional learning. So they get out into the real world and then they get picked on and bullied because they're emotionally weak and they don't have the social skills to work in the real world. So they get frustrated. Their girlfriends break up with them. They can't handle that because they've always had someone there to pick them up and pet them and say, it's okay. It's okay. There's lots of other girls out there, Johnny. No, there's nobody there to coddle you in the real world. So what happens? They get bottled up on these emotions because they don't know how to process them because they've had somebody do it for them the last 6 to 8 years. So they go shoot up a school. And that's where we're screwing up as a society. That's where we're screwing up in the school shootings aspect. We're taking away the hardness that life offers you. I didn't shoot up any schools in my world because I had football coaches that were mean as dog nails. I had a dad who didn't allow me to make excuses, and I had friends that were batshit crazy, and there was a history of hardening there. And so once I got to the real world, it wasn't quite as difficult. Yeah, there's issues. People go through issues. People go through depression. People go through things. But it wasn't anything that I was like, I'm ready to give up on life and I'm going to go shoot the school up and then unalive myself. No, it wasn't like that. There's no radicalization to that. I just said, well, I'm going to be down for a couple weeks, but you know what? I'm going to dust myself off and I'm going to go hit the chopping block again because there's success around the corner somewhere. And that's the mentality that I had, was you might knock me down, but boy, is it bittersweet when I make a comeback. And that's where our ideologies and our teachings to these kids is getting screwed up by social emotional learning. We are not allowing them to properly process adversity and obstacles in society, because we've got all these teachers, all these college professors, and then you look at the state systems have taken pretty much all the rights away from parents to parent your child. So there you have where you can't even teach your child at home because all they got to do is go to school and say, my dad made me mad. Well, go to prison. And that's what happens. And so people just say, well, I'm not even gonna deal with this kid because every time they get mad at me, they want to go say something at school, and then all of a sudden I got 100 fucking cops at my house. So that's how society works now. You take away social emotional learning, these kids have to problem solve themselves. They have to be around peer groups that have those same issues, so they can develop and work with their peer groups in person to deal with their issues. it's kind of like being on a football team or a basketball team or a baseball team, where when there's a weak link, the team has to come together to help compensate that weak link, or try to figure out a way to elevate that link. It's the same thing. It's the same concept. Social emotional learning doesn't do that. It isolates the student and says, poor Johnny, it's okay. It's okay. I'm here. No, it's get your ass up and go deal with these issues, because it's not going to go away on its own. You can go to therapy and all this and have all your feel goods and get cattle prodded in your brain by your therapist. But you know what? When you wake up tomorrow, the problems still persist. And we're not moving past that. We're not evolving as humans because we're being babied as children. And that's not going to work. That's not going to work. I always encourage people to raise your kids like engineers. Let them problem solve, because I don't want them to come to me and me give them every answer. I'll help them. I'll give them an alternate theory to think about, but I don't want to give them the answer. I want them to problem solve it. And if we can get them to problem solve instead of seek coddling, we're in a better spot than what we were. To where the school shooter is going to go, man, I'm depressed. It's rough. Like, my girlfriend just broke up with me. My society doesn't like me. I don't fit in. But you know what? Let me think about this for a little bit. Let me figure out how to improve my situation. Instead, that's how it should go. But instead, we've got, well, the end of the road is here. I might as well go shoot up a school and then kill myself. You see where the thought process and the ideas are wrong. They're backwards because our education system is trash. The system that's adopted. And I went back to my hometown in like the surrounding counties, Van Wert County, Paulding County, and even a little bit in Allen County, in the little Tri-County area that I'm from. And I looked into the school systems. Right, Rachel. So Rachel said, that's exactly how the real world works. My boss answers questions by asking questions to get our wheels turning. That's a great example to how to do it. I do the same thing to people. When people ask me questions, I answer with questions. It annoys people, but I want them to think. I don't want to give them the answer. Think. Use your brain and figure it out. And, I've been in management positions for a very long time now. So I want people who are not robots to work for me. I want people who use their cognitive thinking to problem solve and risk assess and do all the things that is going to make them a stronger worker and human being. So to give them the cheat sheet is doing a disservice. But anyway, I got distracted. Rachel distracted me, but it's okay. So shooters often feel wronged by their peers, teachers, or school system. Just kind of like what I said. They get their butt hurt about something. They want to shoot up the school instead of processing their emotions and thoughts. According to a study by Alfred University, students consistently ranked getting back at those who hurt them and being bullied as the top reasons for school shootings. Now, you go back to the Reagan era, the Reagan statistics we talked about, they're very low for school shootings in the 8 years that Ronald Reagan was president. Why? Because society was still tough as nails back then. We would rip your head off and shit down your neck back then. Today, we don't have that ideology. I'm not saying that coming across as a hard and violent person is the answer. But what I'm saying is that you should be well equipped to handle mentally and physically the adversities of society. That's what it boils down to. So it also says there's a mental health crisis. That's no secret. I do believe in mental health help. Now, I dog on that stuff sometimes, but I think that we've softened that field. Now, we do have a massive shortage of mental health professionals out there. This is something that I think that our government needs to really pay attention to and start urging these college kids to go into the mental health field. We do not have, for the amount of damage that social emotional learning has done and the crappy food that we eat that poisoned us for the last 50 years, we have a big need for mental health people. So we're there. So many shooters are in acute psychological distress during the time of event, where that's another issue that we can also look at. If you're around your loved ones and they appear to be psychologically distressed, we should probably start to intervene instead of just saying, well, I don't want to get involved because I don't want to hurt their feelings. Their feelings are already fucked. You've got to step in, because then you're going to be just like the kid who shot Charlie Kirk, and his family's going, well, I got to turn my own son in because I didn't do anything when I saw the warning signs. So don't be that parent. They're gonna appreciate you if you sit down and talk to them. Help them problem solve. If they're at that point of no return, help them problem solve. Don't give them the answers. Help them problem solve. And take it a step at a time. The National Institute of Justice found that most perpetrators show signs of suicidal, emotional instability, and social isolation. I hope everybody's listening to these warning signs. They're very acute. They're very obvious. When you start to see a change in behavior of your loved ones, take note and say something. They also, some of them want a desire for recognition or infamy because they have never accomplished anything, because they every time they've tried, they've quit, and they've gone to their emotional support people and got their, it's okay, Johnny. It's okay. It's okay. So some shooters seek attention, notoriety, validation, often referencing past shootings like Columbine. Social media and online forums sometimes amplify this motive, creating a disturbing feedback loop, just like what we talked about a few weeks ago with the OpenAI system, who basically walked this kid into how to kill himself. Like, social media is just as bad. Look, I hardly get on X anymore because it's turned into a bloodbath on there. And I'm trying to stay away from things that are going to emotionally trigger me, because I'm a fire personality. So if I get fired up, I'm going to say stupid, ridiculous things. And I want to avoid that and just kind of stay in my own little bubble and try to help as many people instead of falling into that trap of being in this giant bully forum. It's just not for me. Radicalization or ideological extremism. A small but growing number of cases involve shooters who were radicalized online. Happens all the time, especially Discord. Discord is a huge hub for a lot of things. I have been looking into this stuff in Kentucky for quite a while now, and everything shitty in that state that is super illegal that they want to keep hidden comes through Discord. So watch what's going on with your kids' online behaviors. So let's go into the actual shooting that happened and take a look at that. So a teenage student opened fire inside and outside of the school building around 12:30 p.m., shooting two fellow students before turning the gun on himself. The shooter died from a self-inflicted wound, and one of the victims died later at the hospital. This was in the town of Evergreen. It's a small town, about 9,300 people. The shooter was a 16-year-old kid named Desmond Holly, who, after looking into him, he comes from another big trans movement family. So there's a lot of emotional instability there. They can say that everything's fine and dandy all they want, but every time you see the trans people on TV, they're pissed and they're yelling and screaming and doing those people are not happy. And so this kid's grown up in a house like that. And, I would guarantee if I was to just quickly look at this case file, I'm probably going to come to the determination that there was a family dysfunction that created a hostile living environment for this young 16-year-old kid. So he brought a revolver, handgun, and quite a bit of ammunition to the school on the bus. So he had it on the bus. He opened fire both inside and outside of the school. Authorities say Holly had been radicalized by an extremist network, though the nature of that network it's still under investigation. We don't know all the details yet. His family's cooperating with law enforcement, and search warrants have been issued for his home, locker, and phone. So there's that. I just don't. The schools are failing, and they don't want to admit it. They want to keep sitting here saying we're all for higher education, but you are failing our kids. We rank in an abysmal 2022, I think was the last I checked. Our fifth graders tested 22nd in the world. We're academically, we're not living up to standards. Our kids are emotional train wrecks. They live off of their own self-infamy and their egotistical social media nature. And it's all to get clicks. What do I have to do to get a click? What do I have to do to be people to see I'm popular? And it's becoming its own mental health illness. So I really think that we need to, pay close attention to those things and do better as a society. You hear that a lot lately, do better. There was a shooting today where some guys they ambushed a cop in Pennsylvania and killed him. Governor Shapiro says we need to do better as society. There's no more talking. We're talking too much. These bureaucrats and these politicians, all they do is talk. There's no action getting done, left and right. You're not going to see me stick up for too many of these guys anymore. I don't care what party they belong to. I'm starting to back away from all parties. It's just turning into a bunch of people doing nothing. I've watched Fox News for 4 days in a row now talk about Charlie Kirk and point the finger at the left. But what I'm not seeing is anybody come up with an explanation on how to fix these things. I'm not seeing anything to where anybody's going on major social media and saying, knock this shit off. I'm not seeing that anywhere. Donald Trump's not doing it. Kash Patel's not doing it. Pam Bondi's not doing it. Fox News is not doing it. And then you go over to the left and it's the same. It's just twice as bad. They're constantly trying to say Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. This guy was ultra MAGA, even though he wasn't. We've been able to prove that. Kash Patel has confirmed he was not a MAGA. However, they get free reign to lie to their people all the time, just like with all the Charlie Kirk information. They keep throwing out these little clips of edited information when the full videos are out there to watch, where it's pretty clear Charlie did have opinions about stuff, but his opinions were not super radical. They're just conservative. He has conservative beliefs to things. He has Christian beliefs to things. It's just amazing how they spin it. For somebody who's a racist, Charlie Kirk employs an awful lot of minorities, and he hangs out with them all the time. It just don't make any sense. So we're going to go into Democrat from Minnesota Representative Ilhan Omar, who was married to her brother at one point. She butted heads on just today with Republicans from South Carolina Rep. Nancy Mace, who Nancy Mace is okay. She has a little bit of fight in her. She remarked that maybe Somalia can take you back after Omar's comments about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So I ultimately don't think that we need to go bully Ilhan Omar, but I do think that her immigration status should be questioned. I don't think Ilhan Omar has earned the right to remain in this country. I think she's a supporter of terrorist groups, and I just don't want that type of person in my country, let alone in Congress. So the pair engaged in a back and forth on social media after Mace introduced a resolution to censor Omar and remove her from committee assignments, which I think should happen. Omar has faced backlash from the right over an interview with the progressive news outlet Zateo, whatever that says. I don't watch it. During which she criticized Kirk's past commentary and Republicans' reaction to the shooting. She told the outlet days after Kirk's assassination that he had previously downplayed slavery and what Black people have gone through in this country by saying Juneteenth shouldn't exist. Yeah, no, did he? Jimmy Kimmel got fired for his Charlie Kirk comments? That's crazy. I'm going to have to look into that. I haven't seen that one yet. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. But as far as those comments with Charlie Kirk, you can't really you can't get any context out of that. And I would have to go back and watch the duration of the whole video to say exactly what he was saying, because Charlie Kirk he has a way of communicating, and I don't think a lot of liberals understand it. They hear him throw out a theory, and then that's all the liberals hear is the theory, and they don't hear how Charlie Kirk rationalizes the theory or irrationalizes the theory. So it's a different. Charlie Kirk had a different way of communicating things, and I don't think the liberals understood what it was. But anyway, back to Ilhan Omar. So there's a lot of people out there talking about Charlie Kirk just wanting to have a civil debate. She's trying to she's trying to say, well, he's not just having a civil debate. Then she goes on to say there's nothing more effed up than to completely pretend that his words and actions have not been recorded in existence for the last decade or so. Well, no duh. The internet doesn't just go away. Charlie Kirk's all over the internet. Every other video I see on TikTok is Charlie Kirk. Every other YouTube short I see is Charlie Kirk. So Mace responded to the comments in a post on X, writing, if you celebrate murder, maybe Somalia can take you back. I mean, I would say Somalia would probably take her back. That's my theory anyway. So Ilhan Omar, who came to the United States as a child from Somalia, then responded, I know you aren't well or smart, but I hope someone can explain to you that there isn't a correlation between my committee assignments and deportation. Yes, but there is a correlation between her committee assignments and her support for Hamas, her support for other terrorist groups across Africa. She's notorious for this. So yeah, maybe you can have your opinion on Charlie Kirk, but when you're trying to compromise the sanctity of the United States of America and the safety of American citizens, that's when you deserve to be censored. She should have been censored and ousted a long time ago. Then Ilhan Omar said, I would love to see you get the help you need next. You belong in rehab, not Congress. And then Nancy Mace responded and said, one-way ticket to Somalia with your name on it, Ilhan Omar. So Nancy Grace didn't back down, which is good. You should stand your ground. So in a statement to Fox News Digital, Mace said Omar mocked the assassination of Kirk, a husband and father of 2 young children. Now she's lashing out because we called her out. What's not well is celebrating political violence, Mace said. What's not smart is defending it. Omar should be ashamed of herself. Omar can throw insults all day, but it won't save her from accountability. She crossed the line, and we're not letting her get away with it. Go back to Somalia. So in her interview that she did that kind of started this, she said Charlie Kirk's assassination was mortifying. While clarifying her remarks, she said, while I disagree with Charlie Kirk vehemently about his rhetoric, my heart breaks for his wife and children. I don't wish violence on anyone, she wrote. My faith teaches me the power of peace, empathy, and compassion. But yet she's still pushing for Sharia law, so that good luck trying to explain that one. So there's that little battle going on. Anytime I get a chance to kind of throw some stones at Ilhan Omar, I do it. So now I'm going to get into my Kentucky updates. So I've been working on the, which most everybody knows. I need to scroll down. Actually, we're going to talk about Candace Owens first. I forgot about that one. Candace Owens made some headlines in the last few days and has made some what a lot of people are saying are radical, outlandish claims. So Candace Owens has made a series of controversial claims linking Charlie Kirk's death to his evolving views on Israel and alleged pressure from powerful figures. So she says that Charlie was targeted for his views. Owens suggested that Kirk was not killed randomly, but was silenced because he wouldn't fall in line on Israel. She described a tense intervention in early August involving billionaire Bill Ackman and Babylon Bee CEO Seth Dillon, where Kirk was allegedly pressured to support Israel more strongly. Owens claimed Kirk was offered a ton of money and an invitation from Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to visit Israel, which Charlie Kirk declined. She also said Kirk was considering converting from being Protestant to Catholic, which she implied influenced his changing stance on Israel. So Bill Ackman denied all the allegations, calling Owens' claims reckless and false. He confirmed hosting Kirk at a cultural discussion event, but insisted it was not confrontational. Present at that event was Natasha Hausdorff. She rejected Owens' depiction of the meeting. Then a Rosary Church pastor criticized Owens for spreading conspiracy theories about Kirk's faith and motives. So Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk had a long, complex friendship dating back their time at Turning Point USA. Candace Owens had previously faced backlash for her own criticism of Israel, which led to her departure from the Daily Wire. I'm not sure. So I used to be a staunch supporter of Israel. It's a tough thing right now because we're sent down so many different paths that I have to remember that in the Old Testament, the Israelites were so, they made so many mistakes that God punished them over and over and over again. And so I sit here and I think, well, is it possible for Israel to make more mistakes? Yes, it is. Do I think that there's more to the story? I do. So I have a tough time with this. I'm not an anti-Semite or anything, but I do believe that there's skeletons in that closet. So I just don't buy the Israel sweet and innocent story all that much. But I'm not gonna say Israel's the bad guy, but I'm not gonna say they're the good guy either. So I'm kind of just moderate on it right now until some more information comes out that could either change my mind one way or the other. If they're not American, I don't trust them. That's basically my method to things. And like it or not, I'm sure people are going to hate my opinion on that, but whatever. So now Kentucky. So I've been working a lot in Pike County, Kentucky. So I've noticed that I've been compiling an excessive amount, and even in the last 15 years, of murders and missing people. And especially it's part of the eastern part of their county. The western part is where their bigger like towns are at. The eastern part is very mountainous. It's all hollers. And, when you look at it, you go, yep, I can see people that disappear over here. But it is also where all of the major drugs are at. So you see all these missing people, like they go out and they just disappear. So I've been tracking all of them. And I have over 20 of them in the last 15 years in an area. The whole county's only got like 60,000 people in it. So their crime rates are really, really high for a small county. And when their missing persons cases happen, they barely give them any publicity. It's hard to even find a missing persons flyer online for them. You'll see maybe one, like the Appalachian News may carry like a quick story on it, but outside of that, there's really no exposure to these deaths. So I've been going through and finding them with the help of the community. They've been great. The Pike County residents want these stories told because there's information out there, and a lot of it has to do with the drug game. They have a major opioid and meth problem there, and they're honest about it. The people are honest about it. They're like, yeah, we have major drug problems on the eastern part of the county. Now, for those of you who don't know, Pike County is in Kentucky. It's on the border of Kentucky and West Virginia. So if you drive across the Ohio River, you're in West Virginia. So you're kind of close to where the Mothman lives. Most of these murders and missing people, about 90% of them, it's actually over 90%. 90% of these cases are on the eastern part of the county, where they're tiny, like blinking light stop signs, and that's what kind of towns are there. These little mountainous towns. You go down from the holler, you go down to the local gas station, you get everything you need, and you head back up. It's a lot of people from the hills. So that's something I'm trying to put all this data together so I can present it and say, look, here's where your problems are at, and here's what some of these theories revolve around, and some of them the same names keep popping up. So, I can say, hey, maybe you guys have a certain couple people that are your main problem here. So another case I've been working on in Pike County is the Chad Blackburn case. Now, this one I'm very, very invested in. I speak with the mother pretty regularly, and some family friends. I speak with them a lot too. It's a case that is the most outlandish case I've ever heard. The most corruption in any court case I've ever seen. So just to give you some background. So Chad Blackburn was driving in, I forget what town it was, one of these little towns. And so a car pulls out in front of him and he hits him, kills the lady. Well, the lady just happens to be the judge, Robbie Wright. It's his mom. So Robbie Wright, the judge, his mom gets killed in the car accident. So they arrest him. They take him to the hospital. They take his blood. The cop said he was in the first hearing that he was very cooperative and coherent. The hospital says he was very cooperative and coherent. The doctor says he's very cooperative and coherent. But when the charges come back, they charge him with murder. And then they tell him we're gonna seek the death penalty. What, like for a car accident? So they're saying that that the toxicology report on him came back bad. However, the courts refuse to give Chad Blackburn and his family the discovery. They gave him a discovery that had like 2 10-second clips and 75 pictures of Chad Blackburn's mugshot being smartasses. This county is trying to throw him under the bus. It's exactly what's happening. So when I first got in there was the judge was Eddie Coleman. So Eddie Coleman, we come to find out with the help of a couple other people that were helping look into it, we found out that Eddie Coleman and Judge Robbie Wright are buddies. They go do all these events together. Their families work together on projects. There's this huge conflict of interest. So he did not want to. He's going to sit here and he's going to say, well, I thought it was the right thing to do to recuse myself from this case. I'm sorry, everyone. But that's not what happened. We started putting out videos of him and Robbie Wright together all over TikTok, and it got a bunch of traction. And so he had to recuse himself because Eddie Coleman, the judge, is also on the Judicial Conduct Committee. So he has to, if somebody complains on him of being unjust, that goes to him. And he was judge of the year like a year ago. So he's got a reputation to uphold. So once he got exposed to the area and the media started sniffing around, then all of a sudden I got to recuse myself because now I look bad. So he got out of the way, and then he ran around to all the area counties trying to handpick a judge to come in and do it. Come to find out, he handpicks a new judge that's friends with him. And even the previous judge told the family and said, it don't, because they were asking for a change of venue, obviously, because it's Judge Robbie Wright's courtroom. So they said, well, it don't matter where you go. Everywhere you go in the surrounding area, I'm friends with all the judges. Now, a lot of this stuff is on record, but we can't get the record because the courts are hiding it. There's no transcripts of anything that happens in court. The judge even had a court hearing, told the families that they had to sit in a room together and stare at each other for 45 minutes. There's no record of that happening. They won't give us the cameras so we can see all these things and document it, because everything that Judge Coleman did was unethical and corrupt. And he's doing it for Robbie Wright to bury Chad Blackburn for killing Robbie Wright's mom in a car accident. This is a manslaughter case all day long. On top of that, like several weeks later, Judge Robbie Wright's dad dies. They charged Chad Blackburn with assault for killing Judge Wright's dad by broken heart. Now, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but this is the most ridiculous, most corrupt court case I've ever seen in my life. Every single person inside of that courthouse should be disbarred and removed immediately. But you know what? It's not going to happen because they've covered all their bases. It's going to take a federal agency to come in and shut that shit down, but you can't get any feds in Kentucky to do anything. Kash Patel has a serious FBI problem in Kentucky, and it sucks because he keeps getting pulled into all these major things that the local FBI offices are sucking, and Kentucky's the worst. So there's that. Every FBI agent in Kentucky needs audited and removed. New blood from outside of Kentucky that cannot be bought off. So there's that. It's horrible. I want to just walk into that courtroom, but I already know I've made so many people mad in Pike County. Somebody will kill me in Pike County, guaranteed. So I'm not going there, but I'm going to do it from afar. And they had to come to Georgia to get me. Now, Paris County. I'm so effective everywhere that I go. So I was told just today that the police chief made a new policy for officers and firefighters to specifically not talk to me in any way. They're not allowed to talk to me. So the new policy there's also another policy that any officer that needs HR assistance should go to the chief instead of HR. That if any officer goes into the HR office, the chief is to be notified immediately. Does it sound like they're trying to cover something up? So I put in an Open Records Act. Yeah, Rachel. Exactly. So I put in an Open Records Act because there's a leak in that office and they know it's there. They're trying to find out who it is, but they're not going to figure it out. But a birdie in that office said, hey, there was an independent investigation into the corruption of Paris Police Department. The top 4 ranking people there were caught committing an illegal act. So that investigation concluded. They gave it to the city council and the city manager. The city manager and the mayor, everybody looked at it and said, nope, that's not getting out to public. So they sent the copy to the attorney general like they're supposed to, and then they buried it. Well, I put in an Open Records Act for that document. It's 107 pages long. I know everything that's in that document already, but they don't know that. They're calling my bluff. But I want them to give me the documentation. They refused me and said, well, you're not a resident of Kentucky, so we can't give you that information. And so I couldn't get it. But I did a tutorial the other day for the people of Paris and walked them through the steps on how each and every one of them can go and file an Open Records Act for that document for me. So they're probably getting bombarded with Open Records Act specifically for that document. Let's see them say no to all of them. Try me, bro. So, The mayor even had his grandson reach out to me on TikTok and was pleading his case about how great his grandfather was. And he is the only one that's not corrupt. My granddad's not corrupt. You got the wrong one. Nope. I know for a fact that your grandfather is one of the people involved in making that document not available to the public. So nice try. They're covering it up. I know it. A lot of the people in the city know it. And once they all that happens, see, there's also the media watches my TikToks. So one of the media outlets, I was told there were two media outlets reached out to the police department and was asking them about it. And they freaked out and they refused to give them the document. So now, not only do I know they're corrupt, the people of the town know they're corrupt. Now the media is getting mad because they don't have access to a public document. They're probably going to also ask for an Open Records Act request. So I was told that the mayor and the police chief look at my page every single day. They're terrified of what I'm going to do next. And I think I've only done like maybe 2 or 3 videos on that town. It's just a tiny little town. Like you would think nothing would be there, nothing to see here. But come to find out, every time I turn a corner, there's more unethical things, more illegal activity happening there. So now I got to pay attention because now I've got these people in this town coming to me and they're saying, can you please stay and help us? Like the police department is insane. So now I'm going to stay there and help them because that's what I do. Because I can't stand to see people getting used and abused by the system. I know what that feels like and don't feel good. But that's the update from this week. Kentucky's been exciting this week. The news is crazy. School shootings, all that craziness. It doesn't get any better. Like until somebody actually sits down or actually makes a public statement and says that's enough, it's enough. It's just like they need to make a law. Where just like with the fentanyl, where if a drug dealer sells somebody heroin or fentanyl and they overdose from them, you can charge the drug dealer with murder. That's how it should be with social media, in my opinion, where if you do something that incites violence, the person who posted it could get a criminal charge. That'll clean up social media real fast. But that's all I've got for you today. I'm out. Peace.